Welcome back to another episode of the Many Faces of Cancer podcast. I am your host, Melissa Grosboll, and joining me today is Heather Pagington. Heather and I went to high school together,
Mhm.
and she still lives in Bradenton, Florida, where we went
Mhm.
to high school. And we lost touch over the years and just reconnected not long ago as a fellow cancer survivor. And she was diagnosed with rectal cancer last June. And she is going to tell us all about who she is, what she does, and how she's doing now. So, welcome, Heather, to the show.
Thanks, Melissa.
It's
Um,
great to see you.
you too.
All right. So,
This,
tell us a little bit about yourself. I said you still live in Bradenton. So, tell us a little bit about what you do, about your family.
I'm a Florida native. Not very many of us left here in Florida. I work for a PEO company, which is basically we become the employer of record for the client. So their employees become our employees, and we do all of their payroll, their taxes, their benefits, their payroll tax reporting, and all of that fun stuff, which definitely it keeps us busy. I am a single mom I have a 25-year-old daughter that lives in New Hampshire. I don't know why she left Florida for New Hampshire, but she did. And a 17-year-old daughter that still lives at home with me. And that's about it.
What
I
do you like to do
mean,
for fun when you're not working?
spend time with my daughter. We've just started like reconnecting and doing like fun stuff, just the two of us. This journey that I was on, it sort of made me appreciate the little things, and don't take for granted that you could have 20, 30, 40 years left because you may not. So we've started like on Saturdays, we'll get up and, we may go get our nails done, or we'll go to Goodwill and go Goodwill shopping, or, you know, just, or sometimes we may just stay at home in our jammies all day on a weekend and watch movies.
Oh, that
Um,
sounds heavenly.
Yep. And then Sundays we go to church. So, I mean, that's pretty much, I work during the week. She goes to school during the week. And then, the weekends, we try and spend as much time together as we can. And then, I've got, my third daughter, if you will, is a 15-year-old miniature American Eskimo. She's 13 pounds and thinks she's a Great Dane. It's it's her apartment that we live in. She just lets us be here. So
Of
as
course.
long as we feed her and give her treats, she's happy.
And love.
Oh yeah. Trust me, she gets plenty of love. Plenty of love.
What else does a dog need, right? They
But
need the love of their family.
she gives a lot of love back too. So I
Oh,
can't I can't complain too much.
no, that's awesome. 15 years old too. Wow. How
Yeah.
long do they normally live?
Not that much longer. So we've had her since she's been 6.
Okay.
So we've had her, more than half her life, but it's, I realize it and I can see, she's starting to slow down. She's 15. I can relate.
That just means more time for loving,
That's right.
right?
That's right. That's right.
All right, Heather. So take us a little bit on your journey. When you were diagnosed,
Mhm.
how you were diagnosed, what you were feeling like. Did you have an intuition that something was wrong? Was this just a normal test? Like, take us on that journey.
So I went in for a colonoscopy that my doctor had been chiding me to have for like 2 years. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Because I didn't want to do the prep.
I know that's
I
the
didn't
worst
want to,
part, right,
I
of a
didn't want to drink
colonoscopy.
the stuff. Right.
Yeah,
Well, they have pills now for the
right.
prep. So I went in, I had the colonoscopy done, because I really wasn't having issues that I thought, but I wasn't like normal. I wasn't regular. and I was going through a separation, selling our house, moving. So I just thought it was nerves, because and stress, because nerves and stress can play play havoc on your life. Um, Went in for the colonoscopy on June 5th. He came back into the conference room. My husband had come with me and said that, they had found a mass, and a couple of polyps. They were able to remove the polyps and everything, and was 95% sure that it was going to come back as cancer. And all I remember is like everything going foggy, everything going really not clear. And I thought of my mom, and then I thought of my dad, and my mom died before my dad, and everybody thought it would be reversed. And I thought, wait a minute, I can't die. I can't have cancer. I can't die. I've got to have, I've got kids. I mean, my oldest is grown, but still, I don't have time for this. So, and then it was it was kind of like, I got jolted, and all of a sudden I remember feeling, don't worry, just don't worry, give it to God and he'll take care of it. And I did. It was the most, I don't even know it was the most, I don't even know what word to use.
Peace.
It wasn't bizarre or anything. It was just because I've surrendered things before, and you held on to the string because you just in case you need to help God.
We need it sometimes.
Or if you need to, have a discussion with him about how you can do it better. Had lots of those. And it was just I was okay, here. And there was no reservation. And I mean, it was all spiritually. There wasn't anything physical. I didn't say, okay, God, here you go. It was just talking to him. And it was okay, God, I'm giving this to you. And that's it. So that was all in the course of 5 minutes. So 2 days later, the doctor called me, and we were on the phone for a good half hour. And it wasn't his secretary or his assistant. It was the actual doctor calling me. So that kind of put me at ease. But he explained, what the process was going to be. They would connect me with the oncologist, the person that does the radiation, the surgeon, and I would have a whole team, working with me. And that was June 8th. It was the Wednesday. By the end of June, I had met with my oncologist. I had met with the doctor that was going to do the radiation, and I had met with the surgeon. And I had had my chemo port put in, all by the end of June. And everybody that I had talked to said, wait a minute, that doesn't happen that fast. It's usually a month, at least 2 to 3 weeks before you get in to see the first doctor. So within a month, I got the diagnosis, and I had met all the doctors. And, I had friends saying, you need to get a second opinion. And I was no, I don't need to get a second opinion, because I knew in here that I was with who I needed to be with. I mean, I had the team that I needed to have that was going to see me through this. And from that day that I got the diagnosis, even till now, I mean, I had my days where it was okay, God, why me? Why are you making me go through this? I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done with this. I never, ever felt that he wasn't right with me. I never felt that he wasn't guiding me through all this and was going to see me through this. And I knew he was going to heal me. I just knew. I didn't know when. I would have liked it to have been sooner. But again, it's, our timing is not God's timing, but, and he did. So, I mean, yeah, so that was kind of like the beginning to fast forward to the end.
So it seems like you really, in the midst of all of this chaos and turmoil, you really just had a sense of peace and just,
Yes.
knowing in your soul
Yep.
that it was all going to be okay and everything was going to be fine.
Absolutely. I never doubted him for a second. I never thought that I wasn't going to make it through this. And I've always, I, I've been a Christian since 88, and I always thought that I had a good relationship with God. Going through this, I'm finding that I almost had a relationship with God that was important to me when I needed something, or I reached out when I needed something. It wasn't, I talked to him. I prayed, for people. I prayed for, my family and my marriage. I prayed for, um, people and things along the way. And I always knew he was there, but I didn't have that, I'm going to say, spiritual connection that I got going through this. I literally, I mean, there were nights that I literally dropped to my knees in my room, and I would put on worship music and just listen to the worship music, and just, you know, if somebody had given me a verse, I would look it up, and I would pray over it and everything. But the worship music and everything, that, I mean, and just being with him one on one, and just talking with him, and having that reassurance that it was going to be okay. And the fact that, and my support system that I had. I'm so blessed with my family and my friends and my church family. I couldn't have gotten through this without them. There would have been no way.
I mean, there's no way that,
No.
and I know that people do, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very sad, but
No.
I mean, there's no way to really get through this
No.
alone.
No,
Like
there's
you,
not.
you need people around you
Yep. I
to hold
can't,
you up.
I can't imagine not, I just can't imagine having, I mean, my daughters and I are even that much closer since we've been through this. My oldest was able to fly down when I rang the bell, so she was here. And she would tell me, she said, Mom, she said, I've never seen you to where, I think the hardest thing for her, because I was always mom. I was always the one that took care of everybody. And when she came home and she saw me, and, I'd lost all the weight and everything, and I think it scared her. But when she figured out that I'm going to be okay, and we had a lot of heart to heart talks while she was here. My youngest daughter and I were closer than we've ever been. And you appreciate the quietness. You appreciate things that you go through. I mean, I look back, and I said something to somebody the other day, and I said, I'm thankful that I went through what I did. And they're like, you're thankful you got cancer? I'm like, well, beside that, I'm thankful that God had me on this journey, because I wouldn't have the relationship with him that I have now. I wouldn't be as strong of a person as I am now. And, there's something that he's got for me to do. I don't know what that is yet, but I know that he's got me going through this for a reason. you know.
That was one of the big things that I got as well when I was going through my thing, because for
Hmm.
me, it cancer caused me to make radical lifestyle changes and
Hmm.
work very hard to get my health back because
Yeah.
I was not doing very well. And
Right.
that was what I always felt and heard from him was, I have plans for you
Right.
and you need to be healthy and you need to be
Hmm.
strong to
Yeah.
be able to do my work.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go through this to make you wake up
Hmm.
and start, taking care of yourself
Yeah.
so you can do what needs to be done with the rest of
Absolutely.
your life.
Yeah.
So, yes,
Absolutely.
I've heard that more than once. And I also
Hmm.
heard, when I was going through it, I just kept hearing, I've got you. And
Hmm.
it just really brings
Yeah.
this sense of peace. And
Yeah.
not to say that the peace is always there. Like,
Right.
obviously, there are still those wall kicking
Oh,
moments and why
absolutely.
me? And,
Yeah.
am I going to live through this? Even though
Hmm.
somewhere that you will and he's
Right.
got you, there's still that, the,
Well, we're
the C
human.
word is like, oh my gosh, it's a death sentence, which
Right.
it's really not
Yeah.
anymore
Yeah.
for most people, but we still go there
Yeah.
first
Oh,
and
yeah.
often,
And
unfortunately.
that was one of the first things that when I met with my oncologist, that was one of the first things that she had said. We're stage 2. It may go into stage 3, but right now we're stage 2. It
So what does
never
that
moved.
mean? What is for rectal cancer? What is stage 2?
It's well for rectal cancer. Four there's 4 stages, I think, and it's just how severe it is.
Okay.
My tumor was when I started. It was like 6 centimeters. So, I mean, it was a fairly good size tumor. When I had the surgery, it was, I want to say, a little more than 2 centimeters.
So did you do chemo and radiation before
I
surgery?
did. I did.
Okay.
And the reason why is the surgeon said that he was fairly confident that he could go in and get the tumor. It hadn't attached to the muscle wall, but he would rather me go through chemo and radiation and get it smaller so he could go in and get it without going into the muscle wall. Because if he went into the muscle wall, I would have to have a permanent colostomy bag. And, at 54 at the time, you know, I wasn't interested in a permanent one. I wasn't even interested in a temporary one, but so that's why I did the chemotherapy and the radiation. And I actually did 2 rounds of chemo. I did 6 weeks of radiation and 5 weeks of chemo at first, and then I had um, maybe a month off, two, three, 3 weeks off, and then I did another round of chemo, which was a lot more intense. And it was over a 12-week period of time, but I went every other week. So there was only like 6 treatments, but they spread it out because it's so strong.
Gotcha.
And it kicked my butt. That's when I started my, like, woe is me. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Why is this happening to me? I don't want to be sick. Because I was having, um, it would, I would go from having to take stuff for diarrhea to stuff for constipation, back and forth, because it was one or the other. Then I started having the stomach, um, not cramps, but stomach, like, um, almost like where your stomach, it just gets, well, I guess it is stomach cramps, but it's abdominal cramps. And there were nights that I would just lay on my floor in my bathroom and I would just cry because it hurt so bad. And, I went to the emergency room twice, because of the side effects. I got one time I went home, right from the emergency room. The other time they kept me, which was an ordeal, but that's another story. Um, and I just thought I I will say that was the only point where I ever thought this might kick my butt, because I had never, I don't want to say I was shaded or coddled or whatever, but I had never had any serious illness. I mean, yeah, I had the flu and, like everybody else, but I had never had a serious illness. My mom and my dad had both died, but it had never happened to me. So it was kind of like, oh, wait a minute. This is, this is something that yeah, it sucks. um, it really sucks. And there wasn't a magic solution. There wasn't like a magic pill to take that it would go away. It was like you had to endure. It wasn't like when your kids are sick and you take them to the doctor and they get medicine and they get better. It was like they were giving me medicine and it wasn't getting any better. So I got through the chemo, did the last treatment November 2nd, and then went in for a biopsy beginning of December. And that's when we found out that it was as small as it was, which everybody was very happy. But because of the radiation, there was a lot of inflammation around where the tumor is. So we were gonna wait, or we did wait to see if the inflammation would go down. Had surgery January 11th of this year, and they were able to get it all, and get tissues surrounding it, and like 13 lymph nodes. I didn't even know that I didn't even know we had that many lymph nodes in our body. But they tested 13 lymph nodes and everything came back clear. So thank you, God, I am cancer free. But because of the inflammation, I did have to have a temporary ostomy bag, which it's a pain.
But you're alive.
I don't love it, but I will deal with this because I'm cancer free. Um, I go back April 24th to have them check the inflammation, and I'm believing that the inflammation is going to be gone, and they're going to be able to do the reversal, and then it'll just be the every 6 months for however long, and then once a year, and then everything. But they didn't the reason why they did the chemo and the radiation first was to shrink it so I wouldn't have to have that permanent bag. So.
And so, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. This is my third week back to work.
Okay.
So I'm starting to get back into a routine. The first week I went back March 4th. The first week, I took naps at lunch. I was in bed asleep by 7:30. Last week was a little bit better. I didn't take any naps, so I'm getting stronger every day. As long as I eat and I get plenty of fluids, I do good. I have to watch myself and make sure that I'm eating and that I don't do too much, which is very hard for me. Because, I just want to do everything. I just want to, I go out and like, oh, this needs to get done. This needs to get done. This needs to get done. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go lay down now. Time for a nap.
Rest is very, very, very important.
Yes, it is. It is. It definitely is.
So I talked a little bit before about like lifestyle changes that I made,
Hmm.
in my life. Did
Yep.
you make any kind of lifestyle changes to improve your health, to, anything that they mentioned to help prevent recurrence or help,
Hmm.
slow down those chances or just
I'm,
to improve your health?
yep. I'm actually doing that now because I'm especially with having the temporary ostomy bag, I'm learning that I can't drink carbonated drinks. Um, because it's comical now. It's very comical when you have an ostomy bag and you have gas because you don't know that you're going to have gas. And it never happens when you're home by yourself. It
And it's never
happens
quiet.
when, yeah, it happens when you're in a conversation. So don't be surprised if, if you hear a loud noise.
That's okay.
But that's what I was finding out is I was having all of the, just, like when you get bloated normally, when you drink too many carbonated drinks, well, with me, everything goes to the bag. So it's like I'm constantly having to burp the bag, um, which is, funny now. Um, but I'm learning that I can't eat like fast food, which you shouldn't anyway. But so I'm learning, to eat more like meats and vegetables and, not eat junk food and processed foods and, drink the water, drink the water, drink the water, drink the water, which is very hard for me. But I'm learning. So yes, I am finding that, I, we would eat at McDonald's all the time. We'd eat at Chick-fil-A all the time. And I love Chick-fil-A. Um, but it was because I've lost so much weight that I'm like, oh, well, I can eat Chick-fil-A and, if I gain a couple pounds, it'll be okay because, I've lost so much. Well, I'd eat a sandwich and from all the bread and everything, I'd be like, oh, like really sluggish. So it's like, nope, can't eat that anymore. So I'm finding what I can eat and what I can and cannot eat. Um, and as far as what even like drinking, no soda, no, um, I my my crutch now, being from the South, is sweet tea. And my friends are like, "Well, drink unsweet tea," and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "No,
No.
no." And I'm like, "No, the only way to drink unsweet tea is to pour it down the sink. I'm sorry. No, I'm a sweet." So it's like, I'm slowly like giving up, the things that I know that I can't eat. And it's, and I am feeling better. My
Good.
daughter's feeling better. We've started doing fruit and vegetable supplements from Juice Plus. Um, and so I make sure that, we get the fruit and vegetables and I still eat fruit. I love fruit. And I still eat salads. I love salads. So, we're finding what we need to keep in our diet and what we need to like let go of our diet. And the biggest thing is processed foods because,
Absolutely.
I don't even want to tell you what's in them. Well, you probably
Yeah.
know. Whew,
And they're addictive and they
they
make
are.
them to be
Yeah.
addictive. So it is so
Yep.
hard to give them up. So
Yep.
kudos to you
Yep.
for removing them
Yep.
out of your diet because they're
Yep.
just yeah. Yeah. I could go on a huge long
Oh,
rant
yes.
about our food
Absolutely.
supply today.
Yep.
Okay, so what would you tell somebody like if they're starting this process,
Hmm.
whether it be rectal cancer, any kind of cancer, just starting this journey,
Hmm.
I mean, what would you tell someone who came to you for advice? Like, how do I get through this? How do I manage all of this and come out on the other side?
Um, don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Um, get a support system. They, the support system, I cannot tell you. I, I would say the support system is almost as important as your doctors because when you can't get out of bed to go get something to eat, you've got somebody that will bring you food. When you can't stop crying, you've got somebody that will lift you up and and be there for you and take you to doctor's appointments, sit with you when you just feel you don't want to talk, but you want to have somebody there. Um, and they pray for you. I mean, I had people in Spain. I had people in England. I had people in Indonesia that were praying for me that I have no idea who they were, but they knew somebody that I knew that knew somebody that knew somebody in, in the States. Um, support system is just so important. If, and this is going to be kind of touchy and sensitive. If you have a relationship with God, get to know him a whole lot better. If you don't have a relationship with God, get one. um, I cannot, I would not be here if it wasn't for my faith and my relationship that is now, I can't even, I can't imagine not having my relationship with God. I can't. I mean, it's the first thing I do in the morning when I open my eyes is thank you, God, because he let me wake up, you know, and I pray, I journal. Um, you've gotta, you have to have that bond. You have to have that relationship. You have to have that support system. Um, and it doesn't have to, in some, I'm very blessed, was and still am. I had family that I depended on. I had friends that I could depend on. I had my work colleagues that did things for me. I had, my church family that did things for me. They did 2 meal trains for me where they were bringing us food every other day. I mean, we had so much food. Um, but I mean, that support system and the, not to bring up an ugly word, but the insurance companies, they'll tell you your support system makes all the difference in the world when you go through, and it doesn't matter what, like you said, it doesn't matter what type of cancer it is. Some people, you definitely need a strong support system depending on what type of, cancer it is and what stage it is and, the specifics. I think I was very lucky, that mine was caught when it was. And I can look back from when I had the colonoscopy until now. I can look back and I can see God's hand in almost everything. I can see where, like I met all of the doctors and I was ready to go. I started chemo and radiation on July 3rd. Like a month after I got the diagnosis, I was starting treatment.
Wow.
And everybody that I talked to that has gone through it, or even at the facilities, they're like, we don't know who you know or how this happened, but this never happens this quick. And I was like, thank you, God. Because I knew it. I mean, there was no other explanation. I mean, even through, me dealing with work and being out of work, because I was out of work for 5.5 months. It was like, something was going to happen and something would change it and it all worked out. And then something was going to change and something happened and it all worked out. So it's like, through the whole thing, I can see God, I can see his hand and everything that he did. I mean, even now,
I love that. And that is the
yeah.
perfect ending spot.
Yep.
Praise God for all that he does
Yes.
for us.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining me
You're
today,
very
Heather.
welcome.
I just loved chatting with you and hearing all the uplifting
Yep.
pieces of your story. And I know that other people are going to be helped too just by
I
listening
hope
to
so.
this.
I hope so.
So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, is
Mhm.
there, can you send me like some contact information or,
Absolutely.
how people can get a hold of
Yep.
you and I can put it in the show
Absolutely.
notes.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
if people want to connect, I'm trying to create a community here where
Oh,
we can
yes.
all kind of,
Yes.
go through this together.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
thank you again for
You're
joining
welcome.
us
Thank you.
and have a great rest of your day.
You too.
All
Thank
right. Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.